On Gran Turismo 3 today, I adopt eco-friendly braking practices. We spin around a lot. I hate this car. And I confuse this game with bumper cars. Welcome one and all to Retro Dive, a series where I delve into the past to discover games both great and bold and bring them back to light for enjoying in the modern day. Today's subject is Gran Turismo 3 A-Spec, released on the PlayStation 2 way back in 2001. And I am your host, the Mighty Mage. Gran Turismo 3 has plenty to offer you even today. As far as racing games go, it's pretty solid. Even the graphics are not too horrendous to look at if you're used to 8K gaming. And personally, I don't have any issue with the visuals of the game at all. But as soon as you start your disc up, you're going to notice that this game has a very key ingredient that does lack in some of the more modern experiences, and we call that in the artistic world a soul. Gran Turismo 3's introduction shows you the inner workings of an engine firing to life with a mixture of real racing footage and gameplay taken from the experience, put together as if it were a racing film aired on television. And that is an indication of what's to come, because this game is packed full with charm, soul, and genuine love for car racing. The developers here were not just looking for a profit, they wanted to do this sport justice. One of the first things I decided to do when returning to this experience is to hit up some local split screen multiplayer. This feature has a lot of dedicated activities to perform in Gran Turismo 3. Just by going into the arcade mode, you'll be able to find time attack trials, ghost runs, single player and two player split screen. But even within the split screen mode, you have a lot of options. For a start, you get your cars selected in tiers of performance, but you also have the option to use your own personal car from the single player Gran Turismo mode, and a friend can insert their memory card in order to use one of their own custom cars as well. There's also plenty of maps. You begin with 6, but as you keep playing the arcade mode, you will unlock far more, and the same can be said for cars, which are given out as rewards for beating harder AI in the arcade mode. But once me and my friends got together and played on the local multiplayer, despite the fact there was no AI, despite the fact that we were pretty bad because none of us had played this game in years, we still had an utter blast of a time. He's taking me out!
Oh!
Don't forget to go down gear when you slow down.
Yeah.
Wrong way.
Yeah, I know that this is the most Peugeot moment of all time. Oh, going down, this is the fast part of the track. Oh, I lose it a bit. Oh, I go to barriers. Block!
Oh, not today!
Ah, you went too close to me.
Wow. Get out of the way.
Look at this. The defensive game is
yes,
wild. We're taking
hogging the road, hogging the road.
Taking the same lines.
He's in the way, coming round the corner into the crevice. You have the option of viewing from a third-person point of view or a first-person point of view. And when you go into first-person, this game really feels like you're in the driver's seat. The sound is amped up, the reverberations through your controller simulate the feeling of holding a steering wheel as well as they could in 2001. and the way that your vision shakes as the car buffers around, it's all perfect. Now, playing in manual is definitely the way to go if you ask me. Automatic's all well and good, and if you're a younger player, it's probably the correct choice. But if you're someone who can actually drive, please select the manual option. It's a whole game in and of itself, managing which gear you're in, when to go down, when to go up, when to hold it, when to change it. Just like driving a real car, which is something Gran Turismo desperately wants to try and accomplish, the feeling of driving a real car. And unlike when I first played this game, all these years later, I can drive a car. So with that first-hand real-life experience, playing this game now, I can appreciate a lot of the effort the developers made to make it feel as realistic as they could. The terrain matters as well. If you're going over gravel, you'll slide more. The back of your car will try to swing out in front. You've got to employ some counter steering, and you'll be needing to drift and power slide your way to victory. Whereas if you're on new tarmac, everything's going to be a lot tighter and concise. And if you try to drive as if you're in a rally car, you're going to find yourself crashing into the side more often than not. The courses are varied with different biomes, locales, and time of day, making no race feel the same, except the times where it's the same map but in reverse. However, on the more vertical stages, that in and of itself changes everything. What used to be a downhill ride is now an uphill slog, and so on. Once the race is done, you're treated to an optional replay, and this is presented to you in the same way the intro to the game was. Cinematic angles, switching here and there as it follows the cars along the race course, with some music playing in the background. Very nicely done, and you can even save the replay to your memory card if you wish to see it again or show it around. That film style of presentation that oozes with character translates well to all of the user interface in Gran Turismo 3, whether it's the simple post-race synopsis with your options to save ghost data and transfer the memory card, or whether it's the actual menus of the Gran Turismo mode itself. There's something unique and distinct about it all. The colours, the symbols, the music, it's all great to behold. And in that Gran Turismo mode, you still have a plethora of options for the single player experience. This is trying to capture the idea that you are a new driver out to make a name for yourself. You start with a bit of cash, and you've got to buy your own cars, treat them well, and sign yourself up for the competitions. Your garage will therefore start empty, but it's still a place to see all of your statistics and your collection of cars once you gather them. But your main objective really is to head to the car dealership and try not to get ripped off as you purchase your first vehicle. You will fail, you are going to get ripped off, and more importantly, the amount of money you have is not enough to get anything super impressive. So choose wisely, because you're going to need to make a lot of coin with whatever car you buy if you're going to unlock anything else. The other options play into the theme of a new driver trying to make their name. You've got the tune shop, where you can tune your car, improve it, buy new pieces for the engine and other performance enhancers, and equip them to see how your statistics change. You can alter which kind of tyres you have, and the thing is, with all these items, there's nice descriptions about the real life properties of each item. Really help you understand the nature of this car, both in real life and to get you immersed in the game. You can go instead over to pimp your ride, make it look cool, change the colours of the wheel, remove the dirt you've gained from racing in the sand, clean it up, change the oil. All in all, just looking after your car as you try to make it win you a living. But part of getting into the better races relies on having a license. Shock, licenses are even in the game. Though not just to drive, these licenses are more to qualify you for certain conditions, and once you apply for a license, you're given a series of tests to complete, each coming with a very useful description of what they want you to do and how they recommend to do it, alongside a visual demonstration of a developer doing that course. This is fantastically presented to you. You have a list of your best times as you attempt each track, and ghost data of your best run so that you can see exactly what you were doing and if you've gone better or worse. However, when it comes to the developer's drive video, something about my version of the game has bugged out. Shortly after it begins, the AI quickly fails to follow its instructions and starts delaying its inputs and crashing all over the place. But it lasts long enough to give you the right idea of what you should be trying to do. Some of these tests become very difficult though, especially for me, Rally Final Test. You have to do a full course in a car that I've grown to loathe as you're drifting around some very hard hairpin corners, and if you crash at any point, it will be back to the beginning for you. Even without a license, there are still some races available to you, so head over to the tracks where you can find which leagues and what cups your car will qualify for. Once you're here, your goal is to place in the top 3 for the most payout. Obviously, I was always aiming for first, but just settle with what you can get because your starting car is probably going to be a bit of a disappointment. Me, myself, I had to end up with the Mini .2 because I couldn't afford anything else besides some American vehicle that looked so bad I would rather drive the Mini. I placed it in the races, I gave it a nice black colour with gold tyres, and I set to work and quickly realised that this car's acceleration just isn't it. I'd even gone and bought what small supplies I could with my remaining money to interchange some of the engine parts for some more acceleration, but I was finding these races quite difficult. Fortunately, you're not left completely out to dry because you have the ability to qualify before each of these races, and doing so will improve your starting position. Why does that matter? Well, aside from the obvious of starting first helps you finish first, when your car is worse than the competition, using them as a booster when they bump into your back as you block their path is one of the only ways to ensure victory, and I took advantage of that. In fact, my Mini just became a bit of a battering ram where I destroyed my enemy's self-esteem and possible spinal cords in order to ensure a victory. So as you can hopefully see, Gran Turismo 3 is a game that oozes with personality, charm, and love for racing, and I would recommend it to anybody looking for a good time. So many unlockables, so much different content, all of it for free. There's no additional cost besides the game itself. The money you spend is in-game currency, and that is probably the best part about it. I hope you enjoyed this retro dive into the racing games of the past, and you stick around for next time. But until then, have a great day, and I hope to see you there. This is the Mighty Mage, signing off.